Welcome to Daddy Ball, an in-depth look at the issue of parent coaches in youth sports. Something I've come across a lot recently is a lot of comments, Instagram posts, Facebook posts warning parents about the issues of joining a youth sports team with a parent as a coach. And I totally understand the potential bias that may come up, and we all have heard horror stories about some of these issues and biases. But I really wanted to get an in-depth look and really talk to some parents on teams to really see, is this as big of an issue as it's played out to be on the internet? Or are some of these people, making an issue out of something that's, not really there? So we're going to talk with 6 different dads of, various teams. Some are coaches, some are not. Some choose to coach, and some have left that up to a paid coach. And we really just want to dig in, provide some value, and hopefully give you some different perspective on the issue. I think there's a lot of great points that come up in these discussions, and it's not a simple black or white, yes or no answer. I think we really need to dig in, find a little bit more information about that organization, and make an informed choice for yourself and your family. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys get something out of it. Please leave a comment if you've had any issues, positive, negative. Are you a coach? Have you joined a team with a parent coach? Whatever that looks like, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. We'd love to get your perspective. Thank you.
And welcome back to another episode here of Daddy Ball, where really what I'm trying to do is just get a better sense of this whole issue, and maybe it's not even an issue, right? But of parent coaches versus paid coaches. And, we're going to talk some baseball here, but this is going to apply to, any different sport. Right. So, lots of times parents are stepping up and coaching teams. And, I think we're all very grateful for that because a lot of times there wouldn't be teams without these parent volunteers. But along with, parent coaches comes that potential for bias and just kind of creating some conflict among the team, whether it's on the parents, different kids on the team. So I am sitting down here with Bob, who has some unique insight. And, again, thank you, Bob, for taking a few minutes talking about your family, your story, and kind of your journey through travel baseball, rec baseball and travel baseball here.
No problem. Like I said, I've coached from T-ball up to high school.
Awesome. Yeah. So lots of, definitely different coaching styles. And so I think you're going to bring some great insight into, the whole coaching side of it. First one I want to get an understanding is, where are we at in terms of, where are your kids at right now? Baseball, other sports, what kind of teams are they on currently?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because my son, I have a daughter and a son. My daughter started out with softball, and she switched over to volleyball, and she plays competitive volleyball. She's actually being recruited on the D1 level to play college level. Now she's a junior in high school.
Wow, congrats.
My son is kind of interesting because he's a very good baseball player. He's now a freshman in high school, and he played travel baseball and baseball since he was 8 years old. And he did not even try out for his high school team because he's on a club team where he's a pitcher, and he's just made this college showcase team. But he's now thinking about dropping it all to play volleyball.
Oh, so, wow.
It shocked a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But his thought was, Dad, I'm on this club team and I'm on this college showcase team. I pitch a game and I sit around and do nothing after that.
I get it. Okay. Yeah.
Volleyball, he plays all, so he's still thinking about it. And, sure, he's got a little bit of time before he decides for the summer. But he played travel ball since he was 8U. I made some mistakes with him. One time he was on 2 travel teams, and it was just too much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, and I think everyone's going to make those mistakes. Yep. And you just learn from them and move on. For sure, we're doing the best we can here as parents, right? So you've coached everything from T-ball up to high school ball. How did you get involved in coaching? Was it kind of your typical story where your kids started to play, you knew a little bit about the game and you jumped in? Was it kind of, hey, no one else will, I guess I'm stepping up? What did that look like?
I actually started coaching before he was married and even had kids.
Oh, okay.
So I was coaching on the high school level at that time.
Got it.
And then once I had kids, you know, they just, people who knew me, they saw me because my son was, he was the most athletic at the beginning, at the earliest age. And in kindergarten, I remember taking him to batting cages, you know, before we had half day kindergarten. So I
Okay.
had him in the mornings, and I worked from home. So every morning we went to the batting cages.
Perfect.
People started getting to know me, who I was, having kids. I always had to enjoy playing with kids and doing stuff with kids and teaching kids. So someone told me, we need you to coach. I mean, I didn't even think, you know, they said, we need help. And I sort of got pushed into it, and I started coaching my son's team when he was a young child, starting at T-ball.
Okay. Okay. So in that, we talked a little bit. It lasted a few years before you
Yeah.
wanted to.
Well, I said I want to stop. I wanted to be a parent
Mm-hmm.
because it's, you know, whether you're a parent coach or a paid coach, it's a lot of time.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, people laugh because, you know, my kids would laugh every time the phone rang. It's got to be one of the assistant coaches. You're talking about something, and it does take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, at 12U, I wanted to, after 12U was they forced me one more year. And then after that, I said, I'm done. I just want to be a parent and watch.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. It totally makes sense, right? And there's a lot of time commitment. If we're not being paid too, it's all volunteer. You're working around your work schedule and all other family commitments, everything else you have going on. So definitely, hopefully at least those, families appreciated that. As you were coaching, so, 10, 11, 12, as being a parent, your son on the team, were there any conflicts that came up in terms of, potential biases? I mean, everyone likes to, think that they're probably not being biased. Did you have any, conflicts with parents on the team, other coaches, anything that came up?
Yeah, we had several instances come up, more on the travel team. My son, because we were in the Cal Ripken League where the kids had to play on the rec league and also play on travel.
Yeah. Okay.
We did have some problems with that. One of the travel coaches, he geared everything around his son's playing time because he also played on another team, and that threw a lot of grumblings with the people. The amount of playing time the coaches' kids seemed to be playing, you know, kids would complain, well, the coaches' kids play all the time, and my kid doesn't get a chance to play. And I could see that, but I also see the other things. I've also had free, extra, practices for the kids, and the only kids who show up are the coaches' kids.
Yeah. Okay.
So it does tend to, I understand their concerns. I have a family to this day who will not speak to me.
Yeah.
And it's because they said I took their son out of the game because he made an error. And I said, no, we took your son out of the game because he wouldn't give up thinking about the error that he
Yeah.
made.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
kept, in the field throwing him like, you got to just stop it.
Yeah,
So we
let
took
it
him
go.
out just to tell him to stop, but they didn't want to hear that.
No, and that, I'm sure that can be tough, right? I've coached a little bit, but yeah, trying to tell someone who is all on board with their kids and only sees one side of it. I think it's kind of a losing battle a lot of times, right? You're not
And
going to
everybody
really.
thinks their kids are going to be playing in the college and the pros. And I try to tell them, I go, that's not going to happen. And I go,
No.
and even in baseball, even if your kid is one of the few people who make it to the college level, they're not getting a scholarship, or they might get a little bit of money.
Yeah.
They don't get full scholarships for baseball. Just throw that away.
The numbers are just almost depressing, right?
It
I
is.
know I had a good friend of mine who got signed into the Blue Jays organization, and so that's played professional baseball. He essentially made it, got signed, got drafted, and I think something like 2%. It was one of his first coaches talks. Is like 2% of you are going to make it. In this whole minor league system to the major league. So no guarantees anyone from this team even, right? So it's just, that pyramid, right? You just got to keep fighting your way up, and the odds are stacked against everyone at every step of the way.
And that's the other thing too. So, I mean, parents have to realize, let's just have fun for the kids. I mean, it's a great sport. Any team sport tends to help kids grow in life.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to look at it for, not to say, hey, my kid's going to be a pro.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you think about that too early, I personally think you're going to put too much pressure on the kid. They're probably not going to love it, and you're probably going to have a bad time as well each season, and no one's having fun.
Yep, exactly.
So 12, you wanted to step away from coaching, got roped into it one more year. Your son continued to play travel ball after that as well, right?
Yeah, he played up until right now he's still making a decision if he's going to play this fall he did make it to a college showcase team, and he does have colleges talking to him, but he hasn't made up his mind yet. And I said, and that's the other thing too, is I let my kids make up their mind, and that's
Of course.
something that unfortunately, there's a lot of parents who tend to make up their minds for their kids, and I don't know if you see it now, but these kids. I mean, I saw this on the high school level, and I saw it more when kids would get into high school, and they would just by their sophomore year, they're done. They don't want to go to play because they're sick and tired, or because they've been playing. Some of these kids are playing all year round.
Yeah, yeah.
My son was 8 years old. He actually started earlier because he was a big kid. They let him play earlier at the age of 5. And the club at the age of 8. And I said, no, he wants to play basketball and flag football and other sports.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have too many kids who are playing all year round. And even Major League Baseball says not to do that. I mean, college coaches would rather see you play other sports as well.
Yeah. It's super unfortunate. I mean, I get the fact that there's probably kids who just love it, right? And they just want to
Right?
get out there and play. But I think, as a parent, it's our job to kind of direct that. And, maybe we can just do some BP in the off season and play another sport, or go play
Right.
like a rec sport, right?
Yeah,
No
that's
pressure,
exactly
no travel, not super expensive, play at the local YMCA or whatever that looks like, and just have some fun, learn some new skills that will probably carry over and make you a better ball player.
That's exactly what I do with my kids. I mean, even my daughter with volleyball, I had to tell her to stop. You got to just take a break. And but my son, he enjoyed playing other sports too. So
good.
I
That's good.
encouraged him to play clubs. On the rec level, which is a lot of fun. And
Sure. So, after you stepped away from coaching, so no longer, that parent coach with him, when you were looking for his next team, or maybe it was the same organization, were you concerned about, the coaching? Was it a paid coach? Was it another parent coach? What did that look like? And how did that, your experience factor into your decision on his, following few seasons?
That's exactly what I did after 12U. Basically, when they got into the big field, and that's the other thing I tell people. They think their kids are going to go on. I go, you got to remember, your kids haven't even played on a regulation sized field yet.
Yeah, you don't know what they're capable of yet, right? Yeah.
All those dingers they hit at 12U, going to wherever if they go to Cooperstown or if they go in, they all hit these home runs.
Yeah.
Those are easy pop outs.
Yeah.
So after I was done coaching, we looked at different clubs because my son wanted to play on a competitive level, and it was just how they coach. And most of the clubs don't have fathers who coach.
Okay.
This club that we did have, the owner of the club did have a son who played, but he refused to coach his son's team.
Okay. All right. Fair. That's fair enough. Yeah.
Which was that I liked, and that's why we chose it, because they had actually college coaches coming in and coaching on the off season with them as well. So that's why we chose that club. And they specifically said we do not want parents involved in the coaching at all.
Okay. So it was very adamant that it's going to be a separate, right? So yeah, and obviously, he's gone on, he's made these college, showcase teams, and doing pretty well in high school. Who knows what he'll decide there? But obviously, I'm assuming you felt like that was kind of the best decision for your family, for him, for his development.
Yep, he liked it, and he did very well. We joined the club team. He made the B team, the second team, and that was in the spring season. And then he moved on to the A team, and then he was the starting pitcher and the number 4 hitter after that on the A team.
Amazing. Yeah.
He liked it a lot.
That's good. Good. Now, were there options? You obviously set on this club. It sounds really great. College coaches, all that type of thing. Did you have other options to consider that maybe had parent coaches?
Yep, we
Yeah.
had we had several options, and the biggest thing is I let my son make his choice. I go, you're turning into a young man. You're 12 years old, 13 years old now. You're going to be playing on the big field.
Yeah.
Here's a couple options. One of them had parents who coaching it, and one of them was really strict where they wanted him playing, winter ball, spring ball, summer ball, and fall ball. And this one was like, they encouraged him to play other sports as well. And he chose, that's how he chose that club. It's a little bit farther of a drive for us to get him. But both his mother and I agree that was probably the best thing for him.
Good. Yeah. I mean, just hearing a few specifics, it definitely sounds like that organization really, cater to the development and, looking at the future of each kid rather than, and I don't want to like put down an organization, but, at a young age, maybe encouraging someone to play year round. I don't know if that sounds like, the best for like a 13-year-old kid. Right. And
I agree.
I'm sure we could debate this all day with, lots of people, lots of different angles. But I think it sounds like your son found the one that fit, right?
Yeah, I actually did some research, and even Major League Baseball, they put out a guidelines, and especially if your son's a pitcher, they specifically say, have him not pitch, for at least 3 months out of the year, or is it 4 months out of the year, and 2 months being consecutive of not throwing the ball at all. And it's funny because I say, well, one club, they wanted him to play all year round. And I go, well, doesn't that go totally against what Major League Baseball is telling these kids at this age to do?
Yeah.
You have to remember that too. These clubs that are popping up all over this place for all sports, they're businesses. They make a profit.
For sure. Yeah, and I don't fault someone for trying to run a business around your passion, and I'm sure everyone their ultimate motive and goal is to do the right thing and have a great environment for kids. It's just some of those nuances that might be a little bit different, and how they approach it, right? And maybe they're learning as well.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I tell parents. I go, just don't pick a club because everybody else is going to shop around.
Yeah, and I think your gut is going to come into play a lot. Going to a couple tryouts, do a few lessons with some of these coaches.
That's exactly what you need to do.
Pretty early on, you're going to know what's a good fit. Whether that's a parent coach team or not, right? I think,
and we've had some great parent coaches too. I've seen some great, wonderful parent coaches, and again, I've seen it too with the kids don't like when they're because again, the good parent coaches are it's hard to treat your child a little bit differently. I mean, it's your child and you want to do what's best for your kid.
Yeah.
But as a parent coach, you got to step aside for a little bit.
Yeah, kind of put that coach hat on and look at the team overall, which you're right. It's going to be tough, right? You have to think of 12, 13, 14, or some of these larger teams, 20 different kids, and put your child on an equal pedestal as all of them. So, I totally understand where some of these biases, end up coming from, and it may not even be something that is malicious or, trying to favor it. It's just, I think, human nature that's going to pop up. So looking at, your son, he played, the travel baseball up until, that 12U, and then moved on to a paid coach. Is that kind of a general direction or something that you would, tell another parent who's maybe coming in 8, 9U right now? Is that parent coach versus paid coach debate as applicable at a younger age, or do you think it's more important just more later on?
Again, what we did as a league, I worked with we worked in a Cal Ripken league. And we decided as a league, after the president of the league was with my son, he had a son with the same age as my son. And we decided that, why don't we start something new with the travel team, the travel kids, and have a paid coach. And since we started that 2 years ago, it's been a very, very good thing. We have now the paid coach does have fathers on the team, because you can't have 5 paid coaches. It'd be
Yeah,
costing a lot of money.
no. Yeah.
You have one paid coach, and maybe you have 2 or 3 assistants with them who are parents who do that. And that itself can be a little bit tricky, because I know, for example, one of the kids whose father was a coach, I'm the paid coach, he actually wasn't one of the better players in the beginning, and he ended up sitting, but the father was okay with that. But there was another team where the father wasn't okay with that. So
Yeah.
it's a tough situation. It really, really is. We lucked out that the kid actually improved and got much better, and he actually became one of our key players. So honestly, I do find that the parents who tend to coach and volunteer and do more, they're the ones who their kids end up doing a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I think you touched on that earlier as well, that, if I'm a parent talking about baseball, working on, lineups and, scouting or whatever that looks like, depending on, ages or just planning practices, I'm assuming, that child is going to be part of, some conversations at the dinner table, the car ride home. Hey, can I come out and, take a few cuts outside as well? So, I totally understand that, and you talked about the practices, extra practices, and it ends up being only the coach's kids who show up.
Yeah.
So I don't think all these, complaints and, this kid gets more playing time are completely fair because of those reasons right there.
That happens a lot. I mean, even today, I was watching my son's game, and we're on vacation from school this week, and half his team decided to go on vacation, and the other half are here working. And I always say to myself, you're paying a fee to have your son play on a team, and so is everybody else. We're all paying that same fee to have a team together, and then you decide to go on vacation during this season. I go, how's that fair to everybody? And that happens a lot. And,
For sure.
And then people get upset with us when, their kids aren't playing. I'm like, well, they missed 2 weeks of practice.
Yeah. You can look at straight attendance, right? How many practices did you make? If the talent's there, sure. But if someone is working hard and the coach sees that, and you're coming in, day out to those extra practices, for sure, I think that needs to be rewarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, overall, do you have any advice or maybe a potential question or two that, a parent should be looking at if they do have that opportunity to maybe choose between a parent coach versus a paid coach?
Just look at different clubs. Don't do what everybody does. Like, we have, in the area where I live, we have one big, it's very well known, everybody knows it, as a club baseball team. And for a while, if you wanted to play on the high school team, you had to have your kid in there.
Okay.
Don't fall for that.
Yeah.
High school coaches tend to be I coached on the high school level, and we want to win. Our job is to win games.
Yeah.
And whether you played on this club or this club, we're going to play the best of the best. And that's all there is to it. So once you get to that varsity level, it doesn't make a difference what club you played for if you have the skills going for it. Just because everybody goes to one club, don't think that's the answer. And then if your kids are just playing rec ball, you have good fathers who are great coaches. I know some fathers who are wonderful. To this day, if I had a kid, I would love to have certain fathers be their coaches.
Yeah.
Talk to other people. Talk to older kids and or parents who have older kids, and get involved. I mean, everybody has rec leagues, and a lot of them start with rec and then travel from the rec leagues. Get involved with your local rec leagues, whether you could have time to coach or not. There's other things you could do that would just to help out the league a little bit. And that's the thing that I would tell people, get involved a little bit more.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. All these, leagues and, teams, they're very dependent on these volunteers, right? And that can, not make or break a season, but, take a a good team or, a good league, and really just enhance that experience for the kids and teams, having someone scorekeeping or throw, parties, fundraiser, whatever that looks like, just to kind of give it a little something extra rather than just show up, practice, game, go home.
And that's what we had a couple parents who weren't really athletes, but their kids were on a travel team. And, we go to the Cooperstown Dreams Park was our league thing. We have, that was the big thing for our travel team is their 12U. They go to Cooperstown Dreams Park. And the parents who weren't good coaches, they did some amazing work fundraising. So it didn't cost any of us any extra money to send our kids out there. So, and that's, $1,000 a kid basically to go up there for a week.
Not cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and I think it's a fantastic journey that you were able to share there, and really interesting to see that progression from, like you said, kind of parent coach. You were the coach. How did your son do? And now to kind of enjoy some continued success, and now he's got some big decisions to make there, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Now, kind of off topic a little bit. Was he playing volleyball as well? Kind of.
Yeah.
Or is it something kind of new and he's just been an athletic guy?
His sister is a very competitive volleyball player. I played and coached volleyball as well. And it was typically a girls' sport. I don't mean to say that, sexist wise, but
no, but there's more. Yeah, we worked a lot
more girls in volleyball than there were boys.
Volleyball teams.
And we have a regional high school, so like my daughter's graduating, her class of juniors, there's 900 kids in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's a big school, and every vacation we go in the summer, we always have a volleyball out the beach, and we played beach. But he always, does stuff with us. And a bunch of his friends said they were going to play volleyball instead of baseball, and they actually had 30 kids try out for the volleyball team, and only 18 kids tried out for the high school baseball team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which shocked everybody.
Yeah.
And he fell in love with the sport, saying that, Dad, I play all the time. I'm always doing something, not just pitching the first game. And then after I pitch, sometimes he only pitches four innings or 5 innings when he was younger.
Yeah.
And then they have to sit and, or he won't play at that. He's like, it's just too much sitting around. And he enjoyed it a lot more. There's a lot more exercise for him, but he still loves baseball. I mean, he goes, he wasn't the fastest kid, but he loved stealing and getting in the pitcher's head and doing all that other fun stuff and thinking. He really got into the thinking part of it. So he goes to me, I don't know what I'm going to do, Dad, whether I'm going to continue with volleyball and play beach in the summer, or if I'm going to go with the baseball team. And so that's your decision. I'm not going to make it for you.
No, for sure. But, what I think that speaks volumes to is kind of you instilling, probably first, some hard work and how to, dedicate, yourself to, a skill or a craft, but then also encouraging kind of that off season and just being athletic and, giving him that opportunity to transition to a new sport because he loves it, potentially, right? So
that was the thing that he was very good at baseball, and then he played spring baseball, summer baseball, and fall ball, and that to him he missed playing football, and he missed some of the other sports. So and again, he made that decision. I didn't want to push him one way or the other. I let him make the decision. But now he's just in a little bit, he doesn't know what to do. He likes both of the sports. So
yeah, well, I mean, there's worse things out there than deciding which high school team to play for. So,
and I told him, I said, what, if you really do want to play any sport in college, you're not going to get that much money from either one of the sports. So have fun.
No. If you're not playing football or basketball, then
exactly. And I coached high school football for many, many years, and I said that's where you get the scholarships from.
Yeah.
You just don't get it at baseball and other sports.
No, but like you said, you got to do what you love, kind of leave it up to them. We're here to, guide them along the way, but, I think it should, still come down to that, child, an athlete, especially as they get older, let them make their own decisions and, they're going to be happy. And whether they make the right choice for themselves or not, they're going to learn from it and grow.
That's what you want to do, is have them learn from their mistakes. I mean, my daughter, who's very competitive, and she's talking to a lot of schools right now. And it was funny because one of the coaches came up to me and said, "We want your daughter on our team," handed me his card. I go, "You have to talk to her."
Yeah.
And she's like, you're one of the few parents who do that. And her mom and I both discussed that. Listen, we don't want to be the parents who are there talking to the coaches for them. We want them to make their own decisions and learn right from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's the one who's going to go play, right?
You're gonna be playing for this coach, so it's not gonna be my decision. It's gonna be your
Yeah,
decision.
and then maybe it's across the country or whatever that looks like for you guys. You're not traveling out there with her and staying.
I,
Right?
I
So,
did sort of hint to her because she was looking at a bunch of schools in the Northeast, and I'm like, have you thought about anything down south where it's a little bit warmer so I can come visit you?
yeah, you'll get more visits from Dad that way. Amazing. So I want to thank you again. I think this has been a really great conversation. Want to let you kind of get back to your day there, but really appreciative of kind of sharing that journey.
Yep.
And your son and your daughter. I think you've kind of been a great coach and great father to by the sounds of it, to both of the kids there. And I just really wish them all the best of luck with college and the rest of their high school careers.
Thank you very much, and good luck with your project.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Take care.